Cancel culture ain't new. Cancel culture ain't freaking new. It is some old ass shit. I'm going to stand up for this podcast. It is some old ass shit. It's been going on for a while. They've tried to come at quite a few people. We've seen what happened to Andrew recently. And who have they been successful with? They've canceled. Well, they canceled the president of the United States. That was pretty impressive. You'd think of all people, you wouldn't get canceled if you were president, but boom, you got social media taken away. Alex Jones, Milo Yiannopoulos, Stefan Molyneux, Andrew Tate. There's probably a bunch of others, but it's not new. It's been going on for a while. Like trying to remove voices doesn't silence them. Okay, trying to move ideas doesn't get rid of them. All it does is it proves the accuracy of those concepts, if we're being honest. Okay. Look, did Alex Jones go away? As far as I know, he's still around. Most of these people are still out and about. Donald Trump is still claiming he's going to be running for president. So whether he does or he doesn't, I don't know. I mean, I think that guy's days are over, if we're being honest. He kind of had his opportunity and he screwed it up. Who's that new guy that seems to be getting a lot of traction? DeSantis, right? He seems like an interesting candidate for a presidential switch over from demented asleep Joe. Somebody shared a clip the other day I saw on Twitter, and the caption was something like, I don't know, when the edible kicks in and he's sitting there after signing something and he's like, he doesn't know where he is. And he's kind of like, he just passes the pen over to a random dude. He's shaking the hands of people that aren't there. Man, the world's a strange place. But yeah, cancel culture, right? So they'll try to remove you when they don't like what you say. Let me share a couple stories with you, actually. I don't know if I've mentioned this publicly much or before on the channel. I've probably talked about it privately with a couple of my bros. But so back in my debt business around 2010, the Canadian dollar was at par with the US dollar. And there were some legislative changes that happened in the US about a year or two before that. And what ended up happening was a lot of the American companies saw an opportunity to now promote their services in a country that didn't have the same legislation as what was in the US. So they started basically running the same advertising campaigns that got them in so much trouble in the US a few years prior. I was the largest Canadian player at that time, but there were a lot of American companies with very deep pockets. The U.S. marketplace is quite a bit bigger than Canada's, and they started purporting the same sort of promises, hopes, and dreams to Canadian citizens, and they flat out lied. Like they would say things like, there's a new government program, sort of thing, which was one of the catchphrases, which really caught their attention. So credit card companies, banks, and even media personalities and the government got behind writing new legislation to cancel the industry that I was operating in. And the process took about 2.5, 3 years, I would say. And they were successful in getting the legislation passed and implementing it. And they legitimately canceled an entire industry, which for the most part, the ones that were operating above board were very, very helpful in eliminating debt, improving credit ratings, helping people get back on their feet. Incredibly helpful, in fact. But that just showed me, like, that was one of the red pilling moments for me. That was like a big unplugging moment for me. And I was like, holy shit, like you can be doing the right thing. You can save people a lot of money. You can lead them down a brighter path. You can improve the credit rating. But the credit card companies and the banks had so much power, so much influence that regulators just said, oh, okay, let's do this because this should be better. And they don't think. One of the things I learned about government at that time, because I went down to Queen's Park for about 2.5 years, I was leading this trade organization, and I dealt with lobbyists. We had to hire lobbyists. We spent 60 grand on lobbyists and stuff like that. And I'm meeting all the policymakers and regulators. Canadians watching the stream will know the name Jagmeet Singh because he's the leader of the NDP party here. And he was the critic to the bill, which was called, I think, Bill 55 at the time. And I met with Jagmeet Singh several times, and he's not the person on screen that he holds himself out to be, to care about people and, the little guy and that sort of stuff. And I experienced the same thing with all the others that I met as well. They're more concerned with their positions, their tenure, their seat in office, and stuff like that. They don't really care about what's good for the little guy. So that was another big red pilling moment for me. So when they tried to cancel the industry and were successful at it, pretty much everybody had to shut down and fold. I'm not a dummy, and I've got a great lawyer, and we went through the legislation. There's no point in trying to fight legislation, was another outcome of that. So we went through all the legislation, and we found a carve out that was suitable, and we pivoted and survived. Most people don't survive canceling. Most industries, most companies, they just don't. It's very, very difficult, if nearly impossible. You haven't seen Alex Jones back on mainstream social media. I don't think Donald Trump's got anything back. He went and created his own social media platform. What other names out there? Milo Yiannopoulos has kind of disappeared into the woodwork. And I guess we'll see what happens with Andrew as far as his cancellation. I mean, most Google guy on the planet at one point. I checked on Google Trends. I've got a shortcut for Google Trends because I always keep an eye on, what's trending out there. And I think I compared Tate versus Kim Kardashian versus Joe Rogan versus Elon Musk. Like, I tried to think of some big names, and he's right. There were more searches trending than any of those other names. He got caught up in the whirlwind of all that, and cancel culture came. And they won because they own the platforms. They own the distribution of media. A few years ago, I had a tweet that went out that went really viral that got picked up on morning shows, stuff like, I don't think it went on The View, but like morning shows around the world like that, where it's a bunch of women sitting around a table talking about stuff, and they'll find like sound bites and clips. And there's a tweet that I put out, and it ended up on a whole bunch of pieces of like media outlets and stuff like that. There's a tweet that said something along the lines of, ladies, if you want to keep a guy, be feminine, be beautiful, have culinary skills, just basic stuff, stuff that, your grandmothers would have been telling like their great granddaughters or their granddaughters, 50 years ago or something like that. Nothing outrageous. And they tried to cancel me. It was really funny because I got this message from my office, and they were basically coming up and going like, "Oh, is this Richard Cooper, the guy that works at Total Debt Freedom," sort of thing. And I was like, "So, like, I founded the business 20 years ago. What are you going to do? You try to cancel?" They legitimately try to cancel me. They legitimately try to cancel me from my own company, which I thought was hilarious. So that brings me to anti-fragility, actually, since that's an important concept here. What's Mike said here? Kamala Harris would get destroyed in an election. I don't know. I don't know about the state of elections, man. It's like, it's a real funny thing. Oh man. Yeah, but anti-fragility is really, really important. So there's a concept of fragility, robustness, and anti-fragility. Got this from a book called Anti-Fragile. I actually did a book review. This was around the time when I was doing book reviews on my channel. There's so many good books out there. Anyway, I used to do these book reviews, and I did one on Anti-Fragile. There's a video on my channel. I think it was in the M3 at the time. And these three concepts of anti-fragility, robustness, and fragility. Fragility is basically, if I take, I don't have anything glass here, but if I were to take a glass cup and drop it on the floor, it would probably shatter. That's fragile. Most things in the world are either fragile or robust. Robustness is taking like a bag of sand. If I take a bag of sand and I drop it on the floor, nothing happens to it. It doesn't break. It doesn't get worse. It doesn't get better. Nothing happens to it. And then there's a concept of anti-fragility. Anti-fragility is when you apply chaos to something and it actually improves. So when the financial institutions, the credit card companies, the government came for my industry around 2010 and passed the legislation a few years later, my business became anti-fragile because it improved to the point where the legislation basically removed the competitors. A change in the economic landscape with the value of the Canadian versus US dollar changed things. And they either went out of business, they sold their book of business, they Some pivoted, not very many, but most didn't actually improve. My business is one of the few that actually improves. So anti-fragility looks like that. Anti-fragility looks like applying chaos to something and it gets better. So in regards to our friend the Top G, an example of anti-fragility is if he actually gets better. I watched that. Was it the final word or final word from Tate the other day? How can I put this? It was an interesting video to watch because it was totally different from all the interviews and the TikTok clips and all that sort of stuff. One of the things I liked about Andrew is he takes ownership. He takes extreme ownership, I think is the best way to put it. I think Jocko Willink, uses the same phrase, but it's like, one of the things he said was something along the lines of, if I got struck by lightning, I would take the blame for that. And, if you think about that for a second, are you the kind of person that would blame the weather? Are you the kind of person that would blame Mother Nature, whatever it might be? Or are you the kind of person that would look in the mirror and say, that was stupid. Why did I go outside during an electrical storm with an umbrella or with a golf club standing out or something like that, or standing under a very tall tree, for example? That would be your fault. And he's right. Not many people take extreme ownership in that sense. So there's a few things that I liked about that video that he did. Like, you say that you're a victim of your own success, and I guess he's right, because your entire affiliate network was what created the reach. Got you the trending page of Google. For your name, and all those clips were made. And the vast majority of those clips, I mean, if we're being honest, they had the HU affiliate link in them from what I saw. Some of them were taken out of context, but the vast majority were from that program. So the cancellation and the the movement into the next chapter, what does it call it? Step 2, version 2.0 or 3.0, wherever he happens to be. That next step will be like the like sunlight distills all, if you know what I mean. Like, it sanitizes all the bullshit, and then it's like, you can't hide in any shadows when you're in, the direct sunlight. So it's like, okay, well, this is where you get to. And there's a lot going on right now with the Mano Swamp, the red pill, men's self-improvement, self-help sort of notions. And it's not new. Hey guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that short clip. If you did, consider supporting the creation of content by checking out my supplement line. Pinned in the top comment below of this video in the comments, there's a link to the unpluggedalpha.com/shop. When you click through, you'll be able to land over here, and the entire lineup is broken down by category that it performs best in: estrogen metabolism, fat burning, your foundational essentials for health, immune health, performance, and testosterone support. If you check out with coupon code ALPHA10, you'll get 10% off on your first order. There's also the option to use the subscribe and save model, where regular shipments will be sent over to you on a regular basis, and that gives you a little bit of a discount, and your supplement facts are always broken down over here. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome day. And again, check out that link. It's pinned in the top comment below in this video. Peace out.